Educational philosophies examine the goals, forms, methods, and means of education. It allows for an ongoing morphing of education to meet ideologies that are felt to be beneficial to society. The fact is, these ideologies are conditioning theories. What are some of the philosophies that underpin our educational system? How do they determine the quality of education students experience? What are your philosophy of education? How do they compare to the fundamental philosophies of education? The philosophy of education is concerned with the nature and aim of education and the philosophical problems that may arise from educational practices and theories. Let's explore the philosophies on which the educational system is built and their resulting effects. Essentialism is the component of education in which students are taught the essentials. This involves embedding traditional moral values and virtues. Some of these include respect for authority, perseverance, fidelity to duty, consideration for others, and practicalities and intellectual knowledge. These are all essentials that students need to become great citizens. Essentialism portrays school as the place to learn what needs to be learned, the educator as the best instructor. Students learn actively or passively and follow the instructions of the educator. The decision of what constitutes as essential is centralized and utmost adherence is demanded. This is verified through high emphasis on standards, uniformity, testing, and institutional ranking. Perennialism is learning knowledge that is not limited by time. It implies that students should be taught to think rationally and develop minds that can think critically. Perennialism is the belief that students should learn information that are of everlasting importance to all students everywhere, and that the emphasis should be on principles, not facts. Some perennial philosophies are reading, writing, speaking, listening, and times table. These are taught in the early years, which should support students studying in literature, humanities, and STEAM subjects. The principles taught, literature, and text used are determined by a centralized educational group to ensure consistent ideologies. The behaviorism philosophy works on modifying behaviors. This concept hinges on the idea that students act in response to internally or externally generated physical stimuli. Therefore, if teachers provide positive reinforcements or rewards whenever students perform a desired behavior, they will learn to perform these behaviors on their own. This is implemented by rewarding or punishing students, giving or removing privileges. When an educator sets a requirement, students are given reinforcer to ensure the requirements are achieved and embedded, as demonstrated by Pavlov's classical conditioning theory. This is expected to bring about a level of conformity and uniformity to students' behaviors. The existentialism philosophy involves the development of authenticity, self-realization, power to make choices and be responsible, ability to face tragic situation, social adjustability, and uniqueness in students. Educators should ensure and encourage students to find meaning for their lives, to exercise individual choice, assist in learning that choices have consequences, and support students in becoming accountable. Existentialism provides students with a level of responsibility to judge ethical behaviors and equate their freedoms with their power to choose. Hence, educators should plan lessons using different mediums of learning that allow students to use their creativity and draw from their own experiences. Additionally, educators should respect and support students' choices once they have been made. Progressivism is the belief that students learn by doing and from experiences. It also emphasizes that students learn best by pursuing their own interests. Its values are hinged on the ideas of individuality, progress and change through student-centered learning, based heavily in inquiry. Therefore, teachers should focus on incorporating in their teaching diversity, problem solving, critical thinking, collaborative learning, social responsibility, self-regulation, democracy, cross-curricular connections, and real-life implications. Educators should use differentiated learning pathways and modalities to embed progressivism in their classrooms for ongoing growth and sustained development. Constructivism is the theory that students experience the world and reflect upon those experiences, that they build their own representations and incorporate new information into their pre-existing knowledge. Therefore, from the constructivism perspective, students construct knowledge rather than just passively taking information. Hence, teachers can influence learning from a position of a facilitator of the learning process, setting specific learning goals, creating interesting activities, and tactile or sensory resources that engages students and give meaningful interactions. This way, informal, non-formal, and formal learning are valued and built upon equally. Reconstructionism is based on the theory that society can be reconstructed through the complete control of education. It is believed to stand on two major premises. Society needs constant change, and that education reconstructs societal ideologies. Reconstructionism believes that a student can gain first-hand experiences in studying real social problems and controversial issues. Educators should ensure the curriculum delivery meets these needs and encourage students to contribute to community projects and activities. After all, the purpose of Reconstructionism is to reconstruct society through education. Therefore, students should know what social issues need to be reformed, and their education expose them to the urgency of the changes required. Educational philosophies examine the goals, forms, methods, and means of education. It allows for an ongoing morphing of education to meet ideologies that are felt to be beneficial to society. The fact is, these ideologies are conditioning theories, and although at face value seems productive and advantageous for students, are not always the case when examined at a much deeper level. Therefore, it is of no surprise that these theories may not necessarily be implemented to the benefit of students and their fundamental learning or developmental needs. Additionally, policy-making educators are often guided by pressing priorities and changing agendas, whilst educators on the ground are focused on more apparent needs of students and resources available to meet these needs. What are some of the philosophies that are evident in your practice? How impactful do you believe these philosophies are in education?